Okay. So yesterday we yesterday we concluded with the discussion about the icing on the cake, what Hashem gives Jewish people, or maybe it's not called icing on the cake. The main gift that God gives us, the most important gift He gives us, which is our Jewishness and our power to have Mesiras Nefesh, total devotion to Hashem, and sacrifice for the sake of the Torah. And then we started to say that all the other 9 things that God, that Hashem arranges by divine providence in our life are all meant to illuminate the particular mission of each Jew that they have to do in the world. So in addition to the general mission, in addition to the general mission that all of us have to study the Torah and do mitzvahs, each person has their own specific mission. And those 9 items we mentioned before, they illuminate what that mission is. So the Baal Shem Tov taught, he said that every Jew has to know clearly that whatever happens to you, the tiniest event, the greatest event, it's all by divine providence, and it's for the purpose of something that Hashem wants to accomplish. So let's continue on the bottom of page. We are on the bottom of page Shin Beis. Let's go to the bottom over here. Deshgoch El Yena. Deshgoch El Yena. Want to come inside Mudaya? Deshgoch El Yena. Bringt a mention in a gewissen art. Divine providence brings a person to a place. Sounds familiar? Brought to a place? Okay, good. Ashtot oder ashtetl, a city or a village. Der Mensch mit ein a human being with his human mind, meint as is gekommen dahin zu begeschäftliche Sachen. He thinks the reason why he arrived in that place is because of business. Aber beemes hat ihm das gebracht dahin zu Ruchnis. But the truth is that divine providence brought him there for a divine intent. There's a spiritual reason. As so he should pray one of his prayers, Shachris, Mincha, V'Arvis, Oder Machna Bracha. Either he should say one of the prayers or he should say a bracha. But if dem daven oder if der bracha der Ort gewahrt 100 Jahren, als an jenem Tag wird kommen a Jiden wird daven oder a bracha machen. So he should say a bracha there, he should pray there. That place was waiting for hundreds of years, so that on this specific day, a Jew should go there and he should pray and he should say a bracha. Next page. Amol trefft, as a Mensch fort a große Strecke zu Geschäft. Sometimes a person travels a great distance for business. As they meint, that's what he thinks. When there kommt dahin und hat gar nicht aufgetan, and he goes to that place, he does not accomplish anything for his business. Und zufällig trefft sich mit Nachayiden und man redet sich voneinander. And coincidentally, he meets with another Jew and they talk together. Und one of them remembers how his parents behaved, how they were religious and how they behaved. And a thought of tshuva enters his mind. That was the previous episode. That was the whole point of his journey. In order to inspire the other person to have a thought of tshuva. So he should act in a way of Torah. So that's the whole reason why the journey happened. No money was made. But the real reason that this whole journey happened was just for the sake of inspiring the other guy to do tshuva. So the business that had to happen really did happen. By the way, there's coffee here. No one didn't have coffee. The Mensch welche guckt sich zu, der Schwache Protest from der Mensch welche guckt sich zu, der Schwache Hashem is Baruch fit mit dem all seine Sachen. You know, I think I'm going to paraphrase. I say I think not everyone's really following along inside. I think I'll just paraphrase in outside. We're in the second paragraph. If you want to see where I'm paraphrasing from, it's from page Shin Gimel, second paragraph. A human being who pays attention to the divine providence, how God guides him in all of his affairs, sees godliness in every single detail. You pay attention to what's going on, you could see divine providence. Another occasion, the previous Rebbe said that everyone, you could always ask anybody, did you see divine providence in the last day or the last week? And everyone will if they think about it, they'll discover they could see how things they didn't know how they were going to work out, how things connected. If you look for it, you'll see it. In our material physical life, we see you need to have two things in order to see well. You need to have two things to see well. You need to have healthy eyes, and you need to have clear air. When the eyes are weak or chas v'shalom sick, and the air is nefeldike, the air is dark. The air is what? The air is polluted. Okay, good. So then, but it's polluted in a way that the air is you can't see. So it's okay. Let's use that word. I like that word. The air is smoky, so then you can't see. You can't see, and sometimes you can make a mistake and think that you do see. And the truth is that whatever you think you see is exactly the opposite of the truth. That's what happens when you don't have either your eyes aren't too good or the air is smoky. The same is also spiritually. In order to see divine providence, to see how Hashem is guiding a person, you need to have healthy eyes and pure air. But when the eyes are weak or chas v'shalom sick and the air isn't clear, or the opposite, the air is polluted, then you can't see. And it happens often. You live in a mistake, you think you see, and the truth is, because the eyes aren't healthy, the eyes are sick, and the air isn't clean, so you see the opposite of the truth. And there are some people, it shouldn't happen to any Jew, chas v'shalom, which are so, have become so parnanished, morning, unvergräbt, there's no polite way of saying it. They've become stupid and coarsened. Hey, good morning. No problem. You have a seat. No one's sitting there. It's just my bag is there. So you want to have a coffee? It's kosher today. All right, it's always open if you change your mind. All right, so our listeners who just tuned in, what we're saying is that in order to see properly, you have to have two things. You need to have healthy eyes, you need to have clear air. And if you don't have that, so then you can't see properly. So in a similar way, it's possible to live in a mistake and to think that you are seeing the truth, but you're really not. And there's some people which have become so foolish and so coarsened that they think the lie is the truth. They think a lie is the truth. Let's really talk a little bit inside. Page Shim Gim on the bottom. L'mashal, for example, is coming from the Pusta Yehudi Yediyema. When the Dvarim Tehillim was Menret und Menhert by Tog, die does the claim is in Dachdin. People have dreams, which the dreams are coming from. Just preparing a thing before we go into the dreams. Just want to say that does say in Gemara, there's two opinions in Gemara about dreams, whether dreams are meaningful or not meaningful. And there is a concept of people who fast because they have a bad dream and they want to make sure that whatever the negative sign in the dream was, they want to cancel that and they fast to accomplish that. But generally, the Rebbe says nowadays our dreams are just because of our thoughts during the day, not to pay attention to dreams in general. Yes.
When I dream, and I have weird dreams, they don't in any way, shape, or form reflect what I might have thinking during the course of the day. I've been told that before, but for me, it doesn't work out.
Okay.
Oh. I had a dream.
Right. So there was actually, I saw a letter of the Rebbe to someone who said, I had this bad dream, what should I do? Never responded to him. Certainly you went on shul on Yontif and you said the prayer for the dream. So there is a time we do say a prayer for our dreams, but it sounded like from the Rebbe's letter, like there's a time to take care of it. Don't pay attention. And you're right. There are lots of thoughts that come into our mind from we don't know how they got there, but that doesn't mean necessarily that you have prophecy. I mean, you might, especially because you're also a Red Sox fan, so I have a little affinity to you. But don't do the curses, man. Prophecy, okay, no curses. Anyway, the Alter Rebbe actually writes in Tanya something fascinating. He brings from the Zayar. The Zayar says that sometimes a person has dreams, he sees future events, and The Alter Rebbe says the reason it's happening is not because you've suddenly become a tzaddik, it's the opposite. Because Hashem is challenging you to make you think that you're in a state of prophecy, and that you'll let your guard down. Because once you're a prophet, right, you don't have to worry about little things, because you have divine gift, you're clairvoyant, so you could do anything. So you think you have wings, and things they have wings. So then you're. It doesn't say clearly in Tanya. It's in chapter 26, chapter 29, where he talks about the various kinds of things people say at night, and the Alter Rebbe says that there are those who have clean palms and pure of heart. The Zohar says we're able to receive secret Torah insights at night. Those are on a higher level, but those who aren't, in general, the general theme is that our thoughts at night are affected by our what happens to us in our lifetime. That's it wasn't that day, but also not to worry about them. And also another thing I want to mention was that the Rebbe says that in order, people have written to the Rebbe about being pained by nightmares and stuff, to check their mezuzahs. That's I think that's the perhaps the common denominator of the Rebbe's response to people with dreams is check your mezuzahs. If the dreams are bothering you, check your mezuzahs. Make sure. A mapil, we ask for a special prayer to have good dreams. One more thing about dreams, the Rebbe says, is to read stories of tzaddikim before going to sleep. Read stories of tzaddikim. Another person said to read a thought from the Rebbe before going to sleep. So, but there's a special prayer we say to have good dreams at night. So, yeah. So, our material dreams come from our empty thoughts during the day. When the Dvarim B'Teilim, the second line in the last paragraph here, was men retum and heard by tug. The idle chatter that we speak about or we hear during the daytime, these dreams are absolutely false. The truth is, these dreams can be like the punishment of the slingshot. What's a slingshot? It says that after the person passes away, one of the ways the soul is cleansed is that they put the soul into a slingshot. I think I got Yohanes Friedman's. I think it was Yohanes Friedman who translates Kafakela is very intense psychotherapy. What that means is like this: that you do something wrong, Chas v'shalom, during your lifetime, but you don't really realize how wrong it is. But imagine coming face to face with your true self, who you really could be, and then you just act the way you were. So then the pain that you have because of what you did is very deep, because you know you could have done better, because you know who you are now. You know what a mitzvah is. Right now, you didn't say mapil last night, for example. Okay, mapil is one of the 100 brachas you say it during the daytime. You don't realize what it is. So in Kafakela, in the slingshot, you're given a taste of who you are, and then you're given back to what you did, who you could be, and what you did, or who you could have been, and who you are. So it's very painful, because you really regret what you've done wrong, because you know now who you are. So that kind of slingshot thing happens in dreams also. You dreamt that you went somewhere, you spoke with someone, you did some business, you met with someone you really wanted to meet, whether you gained or you lost, you vained, you clugged, you cried, and you had pain. You made lots of money. You lived with great wealth. Next page. Shin Dalet. Dalet Shin. Then you dreamed that you lost it all, and now you're living in great poverty. But this whole dream that you had is absolute lies. Nachmer. In a dream, you could have two opposites happening at the same time, which is not just a lie, it's a lie of lies. The two opposite things are happening at the same time, which can't happen. There are two kinds of dreamers. There are some dreamers, they know they're dreaming, but they like dreaming. I know I'm dreaming, but you know what? This is a great dream. Let me continue on this dream. And there's another person who says, this is the way it is. What's the difference between these two people? The first guy knows the difference between the truth and the lie. He knows the dream is a lie. The second guy doesn't know the difference between the truth and the lie. By this guy, the lie is the truth. He thinks that what is really a lie is the truth. So the two kinds of dreamers. The first guy knows he's dreaming. He knows it's a lie, but whatever. I want to enjoy what I'm seeing. The second guy, he absolutely thinks that the lie is the truth. Because you're dreaming. He explains. Although all dreams have the same cause, dreams are caused by sleep. But in sleep itself, there are two kinds of sleeps. That's the reason why the different kinds of dreams have to do with what kind of sleep you had. If it's a weak sleep, if you're not sleeping so well, then you realize it's just a dream. And you know while you're dreaming, this is just imaginary. But when there's a very, very deep sleep, even though you are cognizant that a dream is false, but because you're so deeply asleep, you think that the dream is true. Although you know deep that a dream is false, but you don't know that you're dreaming. You think that this dream isn't a dream. You think the dream is real. When you understand what's going on, it's very simple, right? Two kinds of dreamers. It makes sense, everyone? You follow? Okay. What does that have to do with us? The kranke Augen mit der ungereinigte Luft wirken als nicht nur man sagt nicht der Emissarschkacha Protest, sondern man ist nachher sehr vergräbt, als man macht am Schecker verämts. The unhealthy eyes and having polluted air can affect us. So not only do we not see divine providence, but we become so coarsened that we think that the lie is true. Because of the polluted air, because our eyes aren't healthy spiritually, we not only do not see how Hashem is guiding us, but we think that the narrative of what the world would say is the truth. The lie is the truth. In the Gashmistik and Leben is in the Geruchmis in the Welt Zemiras mentions and verschiedene Zekraft. In our lives, we see that people are different in their ability to see, in their power of sight, their eyesight. Manche haben sehr starke Sehkraft und manche haben eine schwache und manche sehen gar nicht. There are those who have a very strong ability in seeing, and some people have a weaker ability, and some people can't see anything. Also, the air is different. In every place, there's a different kind of air. So too is spiritually. People are different in their spiritual ability to see. And the world is divided in different places with the spiritual content of the air. The air is different in different places. For example, Friediker Rebbe explains. I'll paraphrase from the Yiddish. In the countries where Jewish education is in a healthy way, it's done according to the Torah, according to the way our ancestors always behaved, and the Torah is learned publicly and privately. So the Jews have a healthy power of sight, and the air is pure, and they see divine providence very clearly. And in these countries where Jewish education is on hen's feet. Hen's feet is a Yiddish expression for it's very, very, it's not the way it's supposed to be. If Jewish education is on hen's feet and the children are taught with the methods of heretics and the air is full with poison arrogance, so it blinds the children's eyes and it poisons them so that they think that the false knowledge that they're given is truth.
You're referring to school.
Well, the previous paper gives examples, but I saw this article. I don't know. I tried to find it, couldn't find it. It's an article called "The End of the American Mind," and it was about this professor who noticed a difference in his in his class as time progressed. He said when he would it's a class on law. He said when he first gave the class, so he would always start off his first class with an interesting question. The question was, let's say you were part of a British police force that governed a African tribe, and they had a custom in their tribe that they boiled in oil or something. They kill every third child. So and you were meant to like govern this tribe. What would you do? And the perspective of the students changed drastically in the 20 years he's teaching the class. You know, and instead of there being like an actual like the discussion, debate about what to do, it became like, why are those people there? Why are they mixing in? Why this? Why the? So there is a certain kind of paradigm in our country. There's no right and wrong. There's no good and bad. It's all how you feel. So, anyways, but Friediker Rebbe talks about something else. He talks about, as we'll see in the next paragraph, there's 50 or 7 years ago. This letter was in the year 1942. So 57 years before that. There were those who were not part of the Jewish camp in Europe, the Mitzrayim, just like a Mitzayra, just like there's one in last week's Parsha, Mitzayra, someone who speaks Lashon Hara and gets this miraculous disease is sent outside the camp. So too, the previous Rebbe said there are those who are spiritually in the state of Mitzayra today, who are heretics, and they really try to in Europe, they were really making an effort to destroy Jewish education. They created this real damaging assimilation. They tried to make great parties on Tisha B'Av and meals on Yom Kippur. In other words, they tried to, which at the time it became a Jewish custom in America that after Kol Nidre you go to eat Chinese, right? That's not considered people don't know any better. We're not gonna listen. If you want to go to Italian, it's history, okay. But I'm telling you Jewish history. This is a thing. So, but what the previous Rebbe is not talking about ignorance. He's talking about, for example, the Yevsektia movement. The Yevsektia movement was sort of like a branch of the KGB. It was a Jewish branch of the KGB that was meant to deal with the Jewish problem of many Jewish schools and towns that were very faithful to Torah and very against Stalin's total removal of God from people's from life. So one of the things that was done was they would openly and overtly show that all the things that Torah says aren't real, aren't true, and they would make on Yom Kippur, they make a big meal and a big festive thing for the Jews. Let's all eat together chazer on Yom Kippur. That was the way to do it. That's the way to convince everybody. And so the emperor has no clothes. Let's go eat Chaz Yom Kippur. Hey, no lightning happened, no thunder happened, and that was a big issue. And they did other things which they caused also in this country as well. This is in Europe. This continues in America as well. That their students and students of their students who rebel against Torah mitzvahs, they continue their wild, arrogant attack against God and His Torah, and they laugh about all that's holy by the Jews. They scorn all that is holy to us, despite the fact that who is their leader? The leader is the Baal Davar. The Baal Davar is the Chassidic lexicon is the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is their leader, and they made the greatest financial. They have the greatest financial means. So, despite the fact that their leader is the Yetzer Hara, and they have the greatest financial means to Chatz Hashem destroy Judaism, they do. But Hashem Yisborach had mercy on the Jewish people in this country, and He brought into some American Jewish youth a spirit of purity to learn in the good yeshivas and to absorb Torah with fear of Hashem, which this gives us hope that the little bit of light of these yeshiva students, with the help of Hashem, will push away the great darkness that the Yetzer Hara, the Baal Davar's emissaries, with their students, are spreading in the Jewish street and destroying Jewish homes. So we have to, so what we're saying is basically is just to recap what we did today. There are a lot of things we think are real, but they aren't real. And the reason we think that they're real is because we're conditioned. We don't realize we're conditioned by the very air that we breathe and the environment and the atmosphere that we're in. And because of that, so divine providence, that you're here in a certain place for a reason, it's not like the first thing you think is real. It's not the first thing, like, Chas v'shalom, this person's house is robbed. What's the first thing you do? Do I have insurance? Second thing is how they get in. Okay, fine. The first thing is how they get in. Second thing is, do I have insurance? Third thing is a half hour later or next day or next week is, why is God doing this to me? Right? That's a question that happens. We're Jews. It's a question comes in our mind. That's not our first question. So not only is it not our first question in time, it's not our first reality. Our first reality is our human reality. That's our first natural reality. Our neshama's reality, the truth that we believe in, that reality is a little deeper. So the previous Rebbe says that there's a interface between what we know to be true and what we and the way we operate with our minds and hearts and what we see. And it's possible because of the environment that you're in and the air that you're breathing and the thing that you're studying, that you actually think that what's not true is true. You go to a place, an example the previous Rebbe gave, and you go to a business. And you don't make the business. And you speak to someone and you put on film with somebody or something. Do you really think that was the purpose? Do you really feel I accomplished something? That's why Hashem brought me there? Is that or is that like the loser's prize? You don't think that, right? That's a loser's prize. That happened to be there. But if you're from the Shama's perspective, of course that's a purpose. Of course Hashem wanted a mitzvah to happen. Hashem wanted me to say a bracha there. Hashem wanted me to have mincha. That's not our first reality. That's something which is distant from us. So the previous Rebbe is saying, don't think because it's distant, it's not real. On the contrary, the reason why it's distant is because we're missing a little bit in our eyesight. We have to check what's preventing us from seeing the real reality. Any questions or comments before we go to Shacharis? Yeah.
How do you fit in with what the author already said about how the atmosphere here?
That's what he's saying, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, in other words, he said that we can mitigate that.
Right, you could, and that's what he said also. So with Jewish education, as we concluded with, that although in America there has been this environment that was caused by the Sektia and their students who have moved to the United States, etc., but it's been mitigated a lot by this fact there are yeshivas and there are people learning Torah.
Well, the author say that?
Show me the context of what you're saying. I'm not familiar. All right.
So,
yeah.
When we take a situation where somebody says, it doesn't really matter, they're never going to prosecute Biden's son.
Here we go.
Yes, it doesn't matter what's right or wrong. It's the reality of the situation. Well, accept it. The answer.
I'll say one thing. This expression by Hasidim, that Hasidim cry on Simchas Torah and they laugh on Tisha B'Av. Why? Because on Simchas Torah, you're with the Torah, you feel, it's like the Kapakela, the slingshot we were talking about before, you feel this is the real truth. You think, who am I? What there's such a joy, there's such a celebration, there's such a, come close to the truth of Hashem. Like, where am I? What am I? Where am I? Where have I been till now? What's going on in my life? On Tisha B'Av, one had so many calamities happened on Tisha B'Av. From 1492, from the destruction of the first, second temple, crazy thing. On the other hand, Tisha B'Av reminds us that there's a destiny to Jewish people, that Hashem is guiding us. There's some things are happening. We're going somewhere. So we're in Hashem's world, and we have to do what Hashem gives us the power to do. And what we have the power to do is the most important thing, because the whole world is created for the sake of Torah mitzvahs. So we don't have to, in the language of Pirkei Avos, you are not the one who has to finish the job. You're not exempt from leaving whatever you can do. Yeah. Tisha B'Av reminds us of the destiny of Jewish people. You see it's all happening the same day. You see it's not happening by accident. You see Hashem is guiding us towards the coming of Mashiach. You see how although these terrible things happened, the fact that there's a pattern in how they happen indicates that we're going somewhere. The pattern of Tisha B'Av, that's why we do cry on Tisha B'Av, Chas v'Shalom. But on the other hand, Chassid also is cognizant of the fact that Abraham is taking us somewhere. But we're going towards the Mashiach. In a similar way, I was saying about the negative events you see in life. Unfortunately, it happened in our society.
Although it looks like maybe a Q-tip with both other ends missing. Yeah. So
Wow.
Where's your trash at?
Right.
There you go.
Tisha B'Av is a day a lot of calamities happen, but I'm saying the pattern of the calamities also today. You see that Hashem is guiding us. See that Hashem is guiding the world. See we're going somewhere. See it's not happening by accident. If I were to ask you, for the sake of bringing Mashiach, that was a step towards Mashiach. Everything that happens in the world is towards Mashiach. Nothing happens without it having some connection towards Hashem's purpose, which is becoming a Mashiach. And that's the same purpose. Every detail in my life, detail in your life is it. Okay. It's a bigger subject than today, but there is a description of Maimonides about it. All right, great shkach, everybody.